Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another story of Critter Call. Today I want to talk to you about a skunk baptism. Now, I get a lot of calls from people, and most time when I get calls, I just get covered up. And I can't get to everybody. So some people are just impatient. They don't want to wait, and they're always, well, you can do it, I can do it. Yeah, you sure can. But it's about Brenda and James. Now, I worked with Brenda, poor old thing. What happened was they had a skunk. They got underneath their house, and usually it's the young skunks, and even walking on the floor of the house will scare them and they'll spray. Now, this skunk had got into her vents, where they claw into the side, where you got that old paper vent, and had got in there and let out smell. So they came in, and it got loose smell, and got into their vents and come into the closets and their clothes and everything. You walk into their house, you just smell it. Ugh, man, it was strong. But they didn't want to wait for me. I told them it'd be 3 days or so before I could get there. Just didn't have time. They said, well, we can do it ourselves. We've been used to them. And I said, go right at it. It don't hurt my feelings at all. So they went and bought them a box trap. Now, a box trap is a live trap, but you just can't see in it. And they bought one so you wouldn't get sprayed by the skunks. So they set the trap out, and they was like, Terry, this ain't be that hard. And I said, go right ahead. So they did, and sure enough, they caught the skunk. So they called me and said, Terry, would you come and help us get it out? And I said, you done made it mad now, and so you can deal with that, but I will come over and watch because I want to see this. So they got over there, and they informed me, said, you know, we have been watching on YouTube how to get the smell out and how to get a skunk out of the cage. And I said, okay. They said it said to take and tie a rope to the cage and throw it out into a river, and that way it'll wash out the smell plus drown the skunk. Now, wouldn't been what I'd done. So they had went behind their house and had this little pond, and they tied a rope onto this box cage and they threw it out into the pond. They could hear the little skunk moving around into the cage, and they thought, okay, this is it. And they threw it out there. So the time I got there and learned what they'd done, it had already been 45 minutes. Wasn't nothing I could do for that skunk. So they're sitting out here pulling in the rope, pulling this skunk in, and their neighbor's been over here looking around for his cat. So whenever they pulled that in and opened up that cage and flopped it out on the ground, it was their neighbor's cat. It wasn't a skunk. The neighbor had owned that cat for 9 years, and he only let it out for when to go out, play, get water, let it stretch. But the cat stayed in, and he only let it out for like an hour a day. So this was the one time. So they hurriedly threw that cat back in that cage, closed it, and both of them was crying. Brenda's a very tender-hearted person. We go to the house. I get the cage and take it off. And as far as we know, that neighbor's still looking for his cat. So they ended all their skunk baptism. So hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. Thank you. God bless.